All right, we're gonna call to order the practice committee for June 13th, 2023. And review of on-site packet.
Madam Chair, there's no on-site packet.
Okay, next, any additions or revisions to the agenda? Nobody? Okay, any announcements?
I know that we have a new board member who is sitting in on our committee.
Hello.
So do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Dr. Ruth Burkhardt, and I am new and I am orienting myself to the committees today. Thank you.
Nice to have you. Okay, and I need a motion for approval of minutes for March 21st, 2023.
I move to approve the March 21st, 2023 minutes as written.
Second,
I'll second it.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We'll go, sorry, I got out of that. Sorry, my screen disappeared. Give me just a second. Okay, sorry about that. Unfinished business, the RN LPN scope of practice, the components of nursing comparison chart draft.
Beginning on page 6 of your committee packet, there's a draft that Sharon Morris and I worked on again. I think we're up to draft 5. There are a few areas that we're still working on, but it's available for the committee to review and provide further direction. This chart, I will say that it does relate to the Nurse Practice Act, the KSA 651113, and KAR 60-3-109A for the Standards of Practice and Code of Ethics. So I am able to tie it straight to what is in our Nurse Practice Act, and we're trying to do a comparison chart to be able to put on the website for an educational component to whoever wants to view it. So if there's any thoughts and ideas from the rest of the committee members, it's more than appreciated.
Did anybody have any additional?
I was gonna say, thank you, Linda, for doing this. This is wonderful. You know, we run into this on the investigative committee to the scope of practice questions. So making this public where people can make that comparison is great.
And I think it shows that where they can go in to the Nurse Practice Act or to the ANA and find those specific descriptions of things that they can educate themselves. It'll help us with a lot of some of the practice goals that come in as well on scope of practice. So if anybody has any more information about missing components, certainly let me know, and we'll get the rest of it updated.
Okay, that's good. I agree with Michaela. It looks wonderful. I think much needed, much needed information. Okay. On to the second one, KAR 60-7-111, reporting certain convictions. If there's no objection, I'd like to table this until September so we can go over. There are 90 regulations that have to be reviewed, and there's a list of things that have to be checked off, and we're going to have that list in September. If everybody's okay, we'll just try to help the staff here. If we just do them at that time when we have the list, so it's not double work, as long as everybody's in agreement with that. Any objections, concerns, questions? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of heads nod yes. So
We need to make a motion.
do I need to make a motion? Okay.
Just bring it in a few things.
Okay. All right, and the practice calls update.
So on page 13 and 14 of your committee packet, you see the recent practice call report. It pretty much is running consistent with the previous quarters that you've seen. Still standard of care, still med spa, still a variety of people calling us and asking for questions, APRNs, RNs, LPNs, employers, attorneys, you name it, we get everybody. So school nurses had some questions about the school nurses and their questions. I do have approval to send 2 people to the school nurse conference this July to the new nurse days where they talk about the Nurse Practice Act. So put a face to a name to those new school nurses who will end up calling us. And that way they can have hopefully have a networking of people that they can kind of communicate with. So and introduce them to the website and where they can find some information to help them. So. But Ruth has been very busy, our Ruth. Not our new Ruth. She's been very busy with us, yeah.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay. And we'll move on to the new business, the Nebraska Board of Nursing Educational Presentation on Medical Spas, Botox, mobile IV clinics, etc.
The Nebraska Board of Nursing practice person presented to the NCSBN's practice knowledge network, of which I'm a member. And so other state boards of nursing got to hear their presentation on med spas, IV hydration. It was a very thorough presentation and approached the issue from a should you standpoint rather than a can I do this? Can I have permission to do this? You know, the thought was that we could potentially do some sort of education, or emulate from this. The Nebraska Board of Nursing was fine with us, you know, using theirs as a template, but our general counsel, Charles, has indicated that we need to be mindful that the board does not have legal authority to give legal advice and advisory opinions. And so he did not recommend that we go forward with that type of education. That was right, Charles.
Believe he's on.
So
Yeah, and if you'd like.
I shared the presentation with Melissa as the chair, but until I'm told that I can share it with the rest of you, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So, but we do get a lot of questions on med spas. And it was like, we have to have a complaint first or something. We don't have anything yet. The education for something we have to have a reason to do one. The practice calls about one, not enough, but I don't know.
I do have a question.
I don't understand, but that's just.
Do they get licensed through the state?
Med spas are not regulated in the
Business
state.
licenses?
From what I can gather, is that the RN, LPN, APRN, we've even had a non-nurse call us and say that she heard that she could get a license to operate this facility from the Board of Nursing, and said no. So I'm not sure of the misperception that's out there. What happens is that the RN, LPN, APRN, you know, whoever operates their IV hydration, med spa, whatever they're gonna call their clinics. And they go through the Secretary of State's office to get an LLC, a limited liability corporation. And the only piece of that the Board of Nursing signs off on is that they are licensed with no encumbrance, that they're an active license in the state of Kansas. And Hannah researches that and has a form that she has to notarize and sign. So that's the only piece that we are a participant of, which makes me leery when a non-nurse calls and says that they want to have this. It's like, I don't know what the perception is in the general public. So that's where we're at. I don't know what we can do.
If you don't mind, Charles, do you mind if there's any more insight onto, we have to have a complaint first before we can provide an education? Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, and this is Charles, General Counsel. Generally, across all the state boards, boards are not allowed to provide legal advice or advisory opinions to the general public or to licensees, unfortunately, because that's the natural thing you feel like doing a lot of the time. But until there's a problem and someone has like a negative health outcome, or there's some kind of malpractice, and the general public submits a complaint to the board about a licensee, there's really not much that can be done.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Anybody else have any other questions? Okay, well, then let's make short work of what we're doing today. So now we're on to the agenda for September of 2023 committee meeting. So we'll have the RN LPN scope of practice. Do you think after we, can you would you mind sending a list to the committee of kind of what the areas that you need to have?
I could do that.
Just so we can focus down and hopefully we can get it ready for September. Because we've been, how long have we been?
I think we've been at it for almost a year. I think it started last year.
Okay. Do you think we're close enough to?
I think we're close. Yeah,
Okay.
we just have some fine tuning of some things to do, but yeah.
Okay, so I would ask the committee members to watch your emails, and then that way we can help the staff and finish this up and get it hopefully wrapped up in September. And the practice calls we already talked about, and then we tabled the other one till September, the KAR 60-7-11, 111. And then we'll do that in September as well. Anything else we're missing for the agenda in September? No? Okay, well, the gift of time. We are adjourned, and thank you very much for coming. Appreciate that.
Need a miracle.
Okay.